Are you just trying to live, laugh, or love? Or are you just trying to do all of the above? This is the podcast for you. If you are an aspiring comic, a headlining comic, a class clown, or just an average bro or doe looking for a good time, you, my friend, are in the right place. Welcome to the magical world of Just Trying to Podcast. Here we go. Welcome, triers, doers, and everything in betweeners. This is Just Trying to Podcast with your host, Mike, Tony, Heath. And this week, we're talking all about just trying to use your gifts. We're going to review some comments from last week's episode about space trash, just trying to save Earth. We're going to do a follow-up on that episode real quick about a solution to fix the problem of space trash, a new idea we have. We're going to do some comedy tips for all you comedians. If you're not a comedian or you don't want to be funny, so you can skip that part. I'm going to give an update on my comedy journey, and we're going to talk about using your gifts, whatever you're good at. Hopefully, we will learn together, discover some ways that we can use our gifts, grow our gifts, whether it's something we do for our job or just a hobby or something we bring to a relationship, a friendship. First, we're going to get things kicked off with comments from last week. With comments from episode 6, Just Trying to Save Earth. This one coming in from the great state of Missouri, Kyle Hempkin. Why are y'all acting like aliens haven't been to Earth? Who do you think made those pyramids? Also, I need a space trash partnership with Burnout Mugs because that's some out of this world technology. Sounds a little bit like a tweet, but appreciate that comment, Kyle. I've never used a Burnout mug, but heard they're great. Burnout Mugs, do you want to sponsor this podcast? I would love to be drinking my morning Joe out of a Burnout mug. Keep it hot, as hot as this podcast right now.
That's fire.
Aliens been to Earth? Who knows? There might be aliens walking among us in human flesh. These geniuses, these folks that seem to be ahead of the game, wouldn't it make sense if they were aliens? I might be with you there, Kyle. Only time will tell. Another regular commenter on the podcast. We read a podcast comment from Trevor Thorlickson last week, him just encouraging us. And my co-host during that podcast, Kyle Oltikin, said, there's no way this guy is real. And Trevor says, now I'm questioning if I'm real or not. Trevor, we just want to say, we want to encourage you, man. You are as real as the aliens walking among us. Believe in yourself as much as you believe in Sasquatch. You're real. You're among us, whether we can see you or not. And then our first commenter from the great state of Wisconsin. Love to hear. This is a listener from TikTok. Username Refresh My Ride. What is your government name? Refresh My Ride. They detail. So if you're in the state of Wisconsin, this guy will, or gal, this person will refresh your ride for you. They'll give you a detail or fix up your car. And this is what they had to say about the problem of space trash. It can only get so bad. I mean, the price to send stuff to space is only going to go up. You know what? We agree with you. I've talked to all the specialists that I can talk to. Last week, we had some of them on the podcast. Billy Bob from Charleston, South Carolina. He came on the podcast to share his solution to space trash, kind of his take on it. He says the Earth, we're not going to be able to see the sun in 10 years. It's going to be blacked out by all the space trash. He recommends getting a net to catch all the You know what? I don't want to spoil it too much. Go back, listen to episode 6, trying to get our viewership up, trying to get the touch point out for that podcast. And then we had Christopher Glotz back from the great state of Indiana, Muncie, Indiana. He studied at the Harvard of the Midwest. We call him Glotzy. And he had some great points about, and really about what Refresh My Ride is saying about the expense of really getting our trash to space, to litter space, is that it only people that are really doing that, it's not the average bro or doe, it's companies like Walmart that he speculates, his words, not mine, that they're sending their trash into space. He said insider trading. Not sure all the details. He couldn't disclose all the details of what he knows, but he says he has very reliable sources on that issue, and really warned against bringing this issue up because, as Refresh My Ride is pointing out, the price is going to go up. So just as today, it's only going to get more and more difficult to send stuff to space, which will eventually break down and become space junk or space trash. So the people with power, influence, and wealth are the ones sending our trash up into space. And because they are the 1%ers, the 0.5 percenters, even though the price is going up, I don't think that's really going to stop them. That's just chump change to them. So yeah, it's going to get harder for the average person. I don't even think, can you send a satellite up into space? Is it illegal to do that? If I had the means to do it, do I need a permit? I don't know. These are things we need to know, But after reflecting and hearing all the feedback from our episode about how to save Earth from the problem of space trash, there was this news article that came up about the sun had this FireNado kind of spurring coming out of the sun's surface. I will post the link to this article in the show notes if you want to go look it up. But scientists are stunned by this sun breakoff, they called it. I like to call it a FireNado. They don't know what happened, but it just got me thinking about the sun. And I actually heard this other podcast called the Nate Land Podcast with some comedians. They were talking about our trash problem on Earth. So not space trash, but Earth trash. And what if we just funneled our trash up into the sun? What they discovered is that people have already thought about doing it. It's just too expensive. But then that got me thinking, this is actually the solution to space trash. All we need to do is get this special satellite that has like a sonic boom gun on it, where it doesn't shoot bullets, it shoots sonic booms. And so what we do is we get this high craft, we get all of the world governments in on it. Okay, we say, guys, we got to fix this. So we start a council, we get every nation in on it, as many as possible, and we fund this super satellite, has a sonic boom gun on it. And what we do is we position this satellite on one side, so the sun is on the other side and the space trash is in the middle, and then it emits this sonic boom. I don't even know if this technology is possible, but I believe in us that we could use our gifts as the world, as humankind, to create this kind of tool to shoot the space trash out of Earth's orbit. Now, again, if you haven't listened to episode 6, you may think there's no issue. But let me tell you right now, we are currently tracking over 14,000 pieces of space trash that are at least 4 inches in diameter, but also larger. And we're tracking that. We believe that there are millions of other pieces of space trash that are smaller than that orbiting Earth. So we're going to be, if we don't take care of this issue soon, we're going to be stuck here because there's going to be too much space trash to escape Earth. So we do need to fix this. And what the satellite sonic boom gun could do is give this boom to push that trash out of Earth's orbit and send it to the sun to incinerate it in a FireNado. And I think we could do that. That is the solution to space trash. All right, all you comedians or average bros and does looking for a good time to make your friends laugh, here are some tips for comedy. Got 3 tips for you this week from the great Gary Gulman, the Gull. If you don't know, Gary spent a year and tweeted out a tip every day for comedians. So here's tip number 124 from the Gull. Sports is another subject with near universal recognition for audiences. Sports have been and continue to be a wellspring of content for me and many other comedians. Today, write about your experiences as a participant, fan, or hater of sports. And I think this is a great point because me, a KC Chiefs fan, our Chiefs, we just won the Super Bowl. We are the world champions of American football. We are the pigskin performers producing, I was trying to think of an alliteration, couldn't do it. So whether you hate the Chiefs or you love the Chiefs or you think the Chiefs changed their name, wherever you're at, that's a piece of content right there for you. Also, you want to make fun of my voice because fans are stupid because they yell when their team is winning the Super Bowl and they get raspy voice and their voice cracks like mine. You can make fun of fans like me. What is your opinion about sports? What are things that are weird about sports? What are things that are scary about sports? Football is a scary sport. What's stupid about sports? Hard, weird, scary, stupid, or some other great opinion that you have. There is some content for you. You can bring it up in a conversation with friends, or you're on an open mic. You can test out some content right there. Tip number 32. Today's tip is a challenge. February, which we are currently in, is the shortest month. I want you to write every single day. Now, we're already halfway through the month of February, folks, if you didn't already know that. We're halfway through. So what if we just spent the rest of the month, we spent the next 2 weeks writing every single day for you comics. You have to write every day. You don't have to write all day. You just have to write every day or mark incomplete. Put your head down, put pen to paper, and then we can look up on March 1st a stronger comic. Let's do this together. Comment wherever you're listening to this podcast and let me know if you are joining the 2-week February challenge. I've been trying to every week. I've been trying to write every day. I've been pretty unsuccessful. I'm usually like 3 or 4 days out of the week. But for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to write something every day, 10 to 15 minutes. And the final comedy tip for this week is, here's what the goal says. Early on, your first 0 to 5+ years, you really need to prioritize stage time of all kinds. The reps will scrape off that amateurism, that neediness, that stilted delivery. Even the greatest material can't surmount the glaring green of inexperience. And I love that. I think that's really good. Is that maybe you do have like this amazing joke, but it's unrefined, it's cluttered. Or maybe we just haven't figured out the timing of how to deliver jokes or the rhythm that really makes that joke pop. Or maybe that surprise of the joke needs some more punchiness to it. Whatever it is, maybe it's great material, just needs to be refined. And I love that getting stage time of all kinds. So whether you're in a big city like Seattle that has a lot of open mics, or you're in a small town like where I grew up, Lexington, Missouri, and maybe there's no mics, or maybe you have to drive an hour, 45 minutes into Kansas City to find a mic. Maybe that's your situation. Maybe you can only do that once a week. How could you, is there a bar in town? You could say, hey, you create an opportunity, or like maybe there's a karaoke night and you ask the bartender, hey, could I come on and just, warm up the crowd, tell them about it, and can I just try 3 minutes of material? What do you have to lose, right? So, yeah, maybe not your best audience, but, that'd be good. I've been going to this open mic at a local brewery, and it's for musicians, poets, storytellers. It's not just comedy open mic, and I love it though because it's folks coming there and maybe they're just going to watch their friends sing their new song. But now, I'm doing comedy for them. I'm trying to suck them into this story. What I'm trying to say is, I think this is something I've been trying to do is look for opportunities and not just say, well, this isn't a perfect opportunity, but just try to create opportunities as well. Maybe, it's going up to some bar or brewery or restaurant that's open late. And you say, hey, we stay up an hour later and could we experiment doing an open mic or a showcase here? Like you create an opportunity, like a formal show or open mic. Or, if that's just not feasible, like you don't have that kind of time, you got a family, you got wife, kids, you got a husband, kids, you got a partner and kids, whatever it is, whatever your situation is, maybe you're working 80 hours a week. I don't know, maybe you're an accountant right now, it's tax season, you don't got enough free time for that. But what if, you want to get good at comedy, you want to improve, you want to use your gifts, maybe you're listening to this, you're not even a comic, you want to use your gifts, you want to practice, you just create an opportunity in your environment. So let's say you're an accountant and you're working crazy hours right now, but you want to be a comic. So what if during one of your breaks, you just get together with 2 or 3 of your other accountant friends? It's like, hey guys, it's tax season. It sucks. I've been writing some jokes about why it's hard to be an accountant during tax season. What if during this next 15-minute break that we're about to take in an hour, I just got to test those jokes out, just share them with you. And there you go. You create an opportunity. You get to test all kinds of stage time, testing your jokes. But then I think it is good to get up in front of an audience. Like your friends are just going to laugh at your jokes because they get you. They're your friends. They care about you. Now to go in front of a group of people who don't know you, who don't care about you and make them laugh, you're on your way. And those are the goals and my thoughts on the goals. 3 tips for this week, how to become a better comic. I know you've been wondering, Mike, how is your comedy journey going? Let me tell you, it's going okay. Doing all kind of open mics, trying to get up 2.5 times a week or so. Some weeks I go up 2 times, some weeks I go up 3 times. I'm just learning how to write jokes. This week, I got to do a duo open mic with my friend Ronnie, who's also trying to get into comedy. And that was a unique experience, kind of a little rat and tat, a little back and forth. And I think that was a good muscle to work, just being on stage and not really be as prepared, because I was doing it with him. So just trying to think about how to do that. I've been going to pretty much every week, the Water Wheel on Wednesdays here in Seattle, and the Shanghai Room on Fridays. Those have been staples. I think those rooms are pretty consistent, for the open mic scene here in Seattle. Last week, I got to perform for the first time at Club Comedy in Capitol Hill. And I think that's a great room. I got 3 minutes. There's like 30-something comics. It's rapid fire coming up, doing your best 3 minutes or your new 3 minutes or whatever it is, testing out jokes. It's a great room, a great crowd. I love that spot. I hope to get back up there many more times. And I'm also trying to create my own opportunities. I'm trying to start an open mic or a showcase open mic, something like that on Monday. So if you're in the Seattle area, you got any leads on any ideas on a location that would be open to doing that? I'm trying to think through that. That's kind of how it's going, for me. Comedy. Interrupting this week's episode of Just Trying to Podcast with a little advertisement. We would love your support. Wherever you're listening to this, whether through YouTube, you're on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you're finding this, drop a comment. Let us know what you think, what you like, what you dislike. What are your thoughts about comedy, or just trying to use your gifts? Whatever it is, we'd love to hear from you, hear some feedback. I would love a review of the podcast if you'd like, and subscribe, whether you're on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you're at. Would love to know that you're listening and that you are on this journey together, just trying to live, laugh, and love, or all of the above. All right, here is the meat. How can you just try to use your gift. Maybe you're using your gifts, you're doing it, or you're trying to use your gift, or you're in between, you're trying, you're doing, wherever you're at. If you're an in-betweener, a trier, or a doer, how can you use your gifts? How can you find your gifts? What are you good at? Maybe it's not your job, or maybe you don't even want to use the thing that you're really good at for your job. Like maybe it's like a hobby, and you don't want to make your hobby your source of income because it would ruin the spirit of it. Whatever it may be. If you're just trying to discover what that gift is, just try different things. Take a cooking class. Maybe you want to try comedy. You do an open mic. You sign up and get up there. Like, do you like it? Try karate, powerlifting, rollerblading, or doing taxes. I don't know. Maybe you could sign up to take a class on tax. Whatever it is, whatever your thing is, the internet, you can find a teacher for anything for free, probably on the YouTube. So you're just trying to discover, what are you good at? What do you enjoy? What gives you life? I think, and if you are going through life and what is bringing you joy? If nothing's bringing you joy, we got to find something to bring us joy. Like, this world is hard. We're in winter, February sucks. It does. Like, what is bringing you joy this month? And maybe that's work. Maybe that's a hobby. Maybe that's a relationship. Whatever it is. What is your gift? It doesn't have to be for profit or productivity. It could just be for fun. You can be productive and profitable at work. God provided you that job. Maybe you don't want your hobby to be your job. That's okay. But just trying to discover what's something that brings you joy, that you have. It's like a natural, like you just do it. Maybe you're not good at it yet, but it just feels natural. Maybe it's music. You just have like a natural bent for music, or a natural bent for football, whatever it is. Or maybe it's not even that kind of skill. And maybe your gift is something kind of like how you're wired, that you could apply to any skill. And, there's a lot of assessments out there. I'm not talking about like personality assessments, more of like how you impact a group or a project or a team or relationships. Like the Strengths Finder is a common one. Working Genius is another thing. Just different ways that you are able to work or impact a group. So not really a skills gift, but more of a gift in the sense of way that you're wired. So for me, my top strength on the Strengths Finder, this assessment, I think there's like 34 strengths. You take this assessment, it says like, here are your top 5 strengths. It could be like a developer, you give input, you're adaptable, so like you can be adaptable in any scenario, any environment. You can develop, in any environment. But my top one is significance, which, doesn't sound, let me just explain it. So, it says, at first it sounds good. It's like, you want to make an impact on the world, which sounds like, it's a great strength, right? But then it goes on, and I really relate to this part, is like, you want to be very significant in the eyes of other people. In the truest sense of the word, you want to be recognized, which just sounds so self-interested, right? You want to be heard. You want to stand out. You feel a need to be admired as credible and successful. You want your work to be a way of life rather than a job. Sounds a little scary. And in that work, you want to be given free reign, the leeway to do things your way. I really relate to that. Your yearnings feel intense to you, and you honor those yearnings. So your life is filled with goals, achievements, and qualifications that you crave. Your significance theme is what the Strengths Finder calls it, will keep pulling you upward, away from the mediocre toward the exceptional. And I really relate to that. So significance is my thing. So what is your thing? There's this one in there, it's called woo, is that you win others over. That whatever it is, maybe, you have this opinion that the Chiefs are the greatest team of all time. Like this year, the team that composed the Kansas City Chiefs, this is the greatest NFL team of all time. which is probably not true, right? It's the greatest team this year because they won the Super Bowl, but the greatest of all time, probably debatable. But maybe you have this woo theme in you, this woo gift, and you're able to win others over to it. Or maybe you're in a sales job and you're able to win others over to your opinion. Or you think the best movie of all time, like Billy Bob, is Interstellar, and you win others over. Or you're like, guys, let's go on a vacation to Ireland. You convince your friends who have no money, you win them over to going. Like, these are these gifts, these themes, these ways that we are wired that are in us that can be used whatever. So you're discovering that these assessments can help us discover these things. So whether it's you're just trying a bunch of different stuff like karate, rollerblading, or doing taxes, whatever it is, you're experimenting in stuff, or you take an assessment and you discover. So it's not like a skill, but it's more of a way you're wired. We will find these things. I think that's like a way to enjoy them. So like for me, it's like, how am I not enslaved to my yearning for significance? That could really corrupt me, especially as a comic, like they're, especially, being new at comedy, there are so many more seasoned, better comedians who, probably have more significance. They're making a greater impact, like they're recognized more, right? You can't just fast forward, gain 5 years of experience in a day. You just got to do it, right? And you just got to just try to use your gifts to level up, to get better, to improve. Now, if I'm just the like negative side of that strength I have to use my gifts of significance would be I just beat myself up. I'm not recognized. I'm not making an impact. I'm not achieving my goals. The flip side of that, the positive side of this strength I have would be, I haven't reached my goal yet. This is my goal. I have that yearning to be better at stand-up. So I'm chasing that. I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to write every day, whatever it is. But it can't be about me. I think that getting that focus off ourselves, like that's how we be free. Because my gift of significance can be a curse. But because it's a blessing and a curse. That energy is electric and contagious. Making an impact. But also, if I'm just constantly chasing glory for myself, recognition for self, then whenever I fail, man, I'm just crushed, right? So whatever it is, whether it's winning others over, or you're able to be adaptive, there's probably a blessing and a curse with that strength or the skill, whatever that skill is, your gift. Whatever your gift is, like how do we leverage it for the good of others and not be enslaved in it to ourselves, right? Because we all have gifts, right? Hoping this is making sense. I haven't thought a lot about this. I'm thinking about it more, but just trying to enjoy the gift, like to appreciate it, to be grateful to God, like God has given me this thing, this gift, this skill, this yearning to make an impact. How can I not be enslaved to it? Because whatever your gift is, you have a gift, and maybe you really can't do anything, you set your mind to, but you can do something. I like to ask the question, like, what are you better than me at? It's a great way to get to know someone. You can steal that question. You ask them that, and it's like, yeah, I'm probably better. They'll say, like, I'm probably better than you at tennis. You're right. I do not play tennis. And maybe that's just a hobby of yours. That's a skill you have. Or, they'll say, I'm probably better than you at finishing a project. Yeah, you're right. I'm an ideas guy. I struggle to finish the projects that I start. This is episode 7 of Just Trying to Podcast, and I've been doing some reading, is that most podcasts that get started don't make it past 7. Or like there's like a wasteland of podcasts around episode 7. Like they just peter off after that. So I'm hoping to keep going, What I'm trying to say is let's land this plane here. Everyone is good at something. go get it. Just do it. Use your gift. And I think there's a way to not be enslaved to it, because if you are already satisfied in life, I think that's what Jesus brings. Like, Jesus is our satisfaction. Like, we're craving something more in this world. We were created to be in relationship with our creator, God, in Jesus. And if you have that foundation, if your life is built upon the rock of Jesus, like everything else, like you can try your pursue this goal or use this gift, and whenever you fail, it doesn't crush you eternally, right? Because and you're free in Christ. So I think in having that foundation, that you can use your gifts, you can experiment at new things, you can try new things because you're free in Him. That's what I've been thinking about recently. That's maybe like a not a new thought, but something I'm coming back to again. And I thank you guys for listening. If you made it this far in the podcast, maybe you enjoyed it. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe to the podcast. And you can support the podcast. You don't even have to buy something, just share a clip, tell someone about it, give me some feedback. You can do that to support the podcast. Some other ways, if you want, it's out there. You can go to the link in the show notes or go on to Instagram at Just Trying to Podcast. There's a link where you can support the podcast directly through Spotify or Anchor. You can buy merch in the merch store that's linked there. But whatever way, I'd love if you just share, tell somebody, leave a review for the podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is episode 7, just trying to use your gifts. And as always, whether you're just trying to live, laugh, love, or all of the above, stay funny and stay weird.
Great shot!